smaller. You know, doing a little bit of that normal tidy up. Let's see. Cool. There we go. I think that's probably as we're getting. Give or take. Hello, friendly friends. I mean, there's no friendly friends yet. I get to decide then for myself what app I want to work on. There's so many. Like, there's so many things and so little time. That's sort of how it is. Yeah, I wanted to like dig into Declarativis a little bit, but also other things. Like the Flutter Bible was kind of fun. I did want to add like a bookmarking system in there. That one might be a little bit of flailing. I don't really know. I do MobTime SDK. Been working on that at work in some social mobs. That could be fun. Just so many things. You know, let's I think we're gonna go with the MobTime SDK because there's some demand for it anyway. I should say people don't realize that they have the demand for it that they want. So people have been asking me to add like all sorts of integration features, like, hey, can you integrate with my my timer app or mobbing app that I use in the command line, or can you integrate with GitHub? And I don't know. The answer I want to give them is no. Right, I don't want to deal with integrations. I'm not even done MVP. So what I really want is to give people the ability to build their own integrations without too much trouble. Let's see. I wonder how that font is. So I'm just gonna look at my screen on the side here. So presuming that people are able to see it with reasonable clarity, I could probably bump up the font once or twice still. That's probably, we'll roll with that. Okay, so let's see. Alright, so we've got like a command line thing, a to-do list, I believe, as well in here. Unless for timer events, well, that one is an event that we have. I don't know that I have timer ones yet, specifically. Part of me wants to like deal with the command line side, and then like that kind of dictates what SDK side. I think that's going to be the there we go. Okay, so in that case, so we've got arguments, get-offs by Jorge Buchanan, or Buchanan, sorry. I have a guy at work that's Buchanan, and then Jorge is not that. And my brain occasionally equates them to roughly one mangled combination of both of them. And yeah. let's see. I think I want to do this init thing because it seems pretty reasonable. All right, so I most want like a commands, both commands. So we know we want an init. And we need some way to interface with timer in a way that we don't really have any, or don't need any context to it. So let's export const init, and I guess we'll take timer, the arguments, which maybe I'll call args because I think arguments built in thing in JavaScript. I have some vague recollection of that. So there's a couple ways we want to deal with init. So one is the we want to bail if the timer isn't empty because we don't want to override it. Unless maybe we had like a force option, but I'm hesitant to do that because obviously maliciously. So for now we'll say that init cannot run if the timer's occupied. So easiest way to do it is if we made this async. There'll probably be a lot of refactoring in this too. So we're gonna say is timer new is going to be await timer is new timer. If not is not is new timer, then we want to bail early. Also, I don't want to use console. I sort of want to wrap that so we insertions on it without necessarily screen for a test. So if that's the case, I'll have to come up with some insane way to do it. For now, let's do return yeah, so I think here we want like a catch no if there's an error that we else will say console error I guess we'll say, let's report the error and we always disconnect. And then of course we want to splice in here. In fact, we probably want to do that here. So let's just say do index.js of commands, and we'll say export init from init, and we can say import star as commands from commands. Nice and easy. And we'll move this down too. And this is clear, but it's never read. This is true. So here we called it action, so I'm going to call this instead command. So after we connect, actually we may need to check ahead of time which command. Because like in some cases when you want to do a help, for instance, there wouldn't be much reason to connect to a timer if timer to connect to. So I'm just pulling up Twitch on my phone. Live long pressing it. I don't 100% know what that means. Cool. Okay, so we got a command, we got a timer, and I almost feel like arguments is, or args is a normal thing, and then timer is like an optional extra thing passed in. Because not all commands are going to use it, but I think most would need args. So cool. Say console.log for now. Cannot initialize timer. It is already in use. Cool. Now again, we'll have to come up with some sort of like wraparound log. I certainly don't want to, but we'll get there. Okay, and otherwise we can say there's going to be a list of things that we want to do. And yeah, I wonder if we actually don't do the connect. This ends up being you set it up, and then of course you can like have that set up. Like I guess we don't need theory. This could just be like command name. This would be like command equals commands name. And then of course if that doesn't exist, then this would probably be something like help. And then of course if no command, I can say like process. I think there's exit 1. And otherwise we'll say command pass it the args, and then for now I'm just going to pass it the timer. So in our case over here we want wait timer connect. Nice and easy. And then at the very do connect. We need a way to guarantee that we disconnect. So maybe this can just be let's say command timer const timer. I think both will be synchronous. Now I don't actually like async await. A lot of people got like really excited when it became a thing. I didn't care, but clean up. So actually if we said setup, maybe we'll make this more like a Laravel test. Setup command, and then we can do tear down. Kind of like that, because then this can be done ahead of time. This is part of the command. Tear down would be like wait timer disconnect, and then in it just becomes a collection of setup command tear down. So setup and then run. Kind of like that. That seems like a reasonable DSL. Only I could type. Alright, so if we don't have a command, then fail, and otherwise we're going to do chain, which is something to the effect of. Actually, here, let's do a return. So, I don't know if that's a thing, but here we'll say command setup, then and oh, and then we need to like do a promise resolve. I'm gonna have an array, which is args, and the timer. Then, let's see. I don't know if I'm gonna like. In fact, I already don't because we have to. Yep, fail. The args, and then timer. Run. Same again, args, timer. And another. And tear down args, timer. Of course. Probably have a cat time. Something like that. Cool. So run setup. In fact, I almost feel like doing like a result, like a null or something like that. And, yeah. Then just so everything kind of feels the same. Something like that. This could probably be in a finally. I think Node supports finally. Oh, that was an interesting size that let's close that. We've got stuff there. I almost feel like this needs to be something like kind of like having named nice, so maybe better. Then this just becomes structure. Of course, this destructure is efficient since we're times, but we'll see. I mean, this is command line. It's not like we're after efficiency. Cool. So if I do a yarn test, let's see. Oh, I don't have tests set up. Definitely should. Oh, you know what? I have Ava set up, but I don't actually have a test runner or test script, I should say. Cool. And I just realized that I don't actually have a any kind of a test set up around this. So, of course, all my tests would pass. But we could try a yarn start foobar unit. Action is not defined. That's so we got a message in there. timer. I don't think we actually want this though. I'm gonna cool. So got that, and then we don't really do anything. Looks like our timer wasn't in use though, so we're able to theoretically connect to it. Cool. So got this. We obviously know we want to connect into the timer as a setup step. Some of it is we want to know if the timer is new, and if it's new, we want to say and we're gonna say timer is available, and then log. I don't think this exists yet, but we're gonna say get URL. We're gonna say waiting to for your connection before disconnect. Okay, and of course that doesn't exist yet, so we're going to use some more URL, or sorry, API that doesn't exist yet that we will have. So we're going to say await timer wait for command, and then we can bring in import message types from time. This would be okay. And we're gonna wait for message types dot yeah, I guess I gotta open it up. I thought my IntelliSense would load that up, but so much. So we want to, oh sorry, we don't want timer ownership. What am I talking about? We want to, oops. We type this message point new. Oh, that'll also help if I stuff. Yeah. Oh. Let's get rid of the things that we don't care about in some ways. We will care about arguments in here. Not gonna care about here though. Cool. So get URLs in a function, so we're just gonna kinda add things as we need to. So here we have mob time URL. I don't want to change how this works to it. Sort of accepts all these things. So we are going to so our mob time should just be timer ID quite separately. Option. Secure would be, there's no reason to not have a secure thing. Domain is going to be args.domain. And then our protocol is going to be HTTPS. And let's see, so over here, it means that we're going to just get a timer ID. Options. This timer ID is going to be timer ID. This dot options is going to be options. Cool. And what else do we want? Well, obviously we're gonna have to update and update this to use the new method as well. So we're gonna say method is called get URL protocol. We're gonna return all this.options.main slash this.timer ID. This would be this get URL WebSocket secure. Oh, my music isn't. I'm wondering why it seemed so quiet. Let's see, we're gonna. Oh, you know what? We're gonna... Tom Agnew. That's what I'm feeling. But not that loud. Okay, so if we try running that, so it gave us the right URL, but then of course, wait for command isn't a real thing. All right, so if we want to do that, probably be like, yeah, let's go down here. We're gonna say wait for command. Actually, maybe wait for message type. And we'll need to have a on there that is going to do something like this dot remove message listener, and our type is going to type, and our callback is going to be handler, so it'll clear itself. And then maybe we'll have to put a timeout on there. And maybe we'll give it like 60 seconds by default. And then I think this we want to do a return new promise, resolve and reject. I think I might have to do something like this, which is a little silly. Oh, I see. So it kind of detects that we're not actually doing it with it. So maybe I can get away with still doing that const. So basically, if our handler is called, then we know we can resolve this promise and the handler and stuff. Then we could do something like here we're going to clear timeout, and then we're going to set timeout equals set timeout. this case, we reject. And we're gonna say new error. And like, I don't know, let's say message did not was not sent before timeout. Cool. And then over here we can do something like this: add listener type and handler. Cool. I guess in either case we want to make sure we're not waiting on that message any longer. All right, so click on that. Is it going to detect that I connected? Nope. That's okay. So let's do a timer. We already commented this code it before. Okay. Get rid of this. I just noticed it and didn't want to get around. Add message listener, and we're going to say for every message. What do I get from message handler? Okay, so it does push the there we go. So nope, that's not it. Where is, there we go. So we find type and we set message and then a reference to the timer. Now we don't need a reference to the timer in this case. We're just gonna say console log timer. Message. So the timer's already active, so I'm gonna tab, reopen it. Now it is free. So we did get a timer ownership message, but we didn't get a message okay, so we're gonna go to add message listener listening. Yeah. For I just want to validate that things that we think are happening are happening. Oh, that's weird. So it's sending a timer ownership. Oh no, that makes sense when something disconnects, but we should be getting stuff. Listening for all that stuff. And so we never get a client new. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, so let's do shift. Oh, what is my new tab? Control Shift T. Okay, so we're gonna go back into just regular mob time. I just want to validate that the message types that I'm using are correct. At some point, mob time is going to use the mob time SDK as well, but we're not there yet. Right now, I'm going to maintain both, and then we'll eventually merge. So I think under effects, I have a oh, there we go. So broadcast join does client new, and then the server has like very little logic in it, but if it's client new, then only message the timer owner. That is client colon, and I want to validate client colon new. It says here that it is listening for client new. Oh, things. Because we should be the owner. So here, console. Actually, if we go to, I guess this will be X. Oh, maybe update. Yeah, it's update. I had to separate tests. We're gonna find message timer owner. I'm just gonna say console log message timer owner. Now we'll run this manually, and then we'll make it all work. We'll glue it all together. It's gonna be great. Oh man, the weather's kind of weird. It's just cold enough that you want a sweater, but it's warm enough that it's too warm for a sweater. Life. Alright, so we are going to say message timer owner is going to have a bunch. We want to know who the owner is, and which timer ID we are looking at, and what the message is. And then I'm going to move that down. We're going to do a yarn start. Here we can see our now post, so I'm going to just grab that. Go back up here, and we're going to say domain is that. I don't know why it wasn't happy with that. So maybe, like, I'm guessing there's an error doing the connection. So let's go check it out. Check it out. Actually, let's say I'm gonna say connecting to CSS URL. Oh. Yeah, so you connected, but why didn't you stay connected? So let's realign that now that I got the right command name, got the right timer. We know it's connecting to the right place now. Command found. Right, so it is finding the command. So what is causing a problem? Like, it feels like something's not being ran. But even so, I've got this like error. Let's say error. All right. I guess we can put a bunch of things and try catches and see what happens. Oh wait, does socket error? We do console error, socket error. There we go. Oh, it probably doesn't like it because we're using not using secure. Secure is going to default true. And I guess for command line, we want to do false. So we're going to say secure is going to be secure. I don't like that, but I hate flies. You guys hate flies? Okay, so we need to tell the connection whether or not it's secure. Also makes me want to say HTTP and S, and then we can add an S in here. And this option is secure. I kind of like it, but it's out of. Cool. There we go. So we are presumably back in business. So if I click into that, you see this timer. Went out, we found the timer, but we never receive that message. Oh, so never saw it. Is it possible that our client isn't sending it out here? Let me bring this over. There. And the same deal over here. And we're gonna bring up network. Fresh, but then we only want WebSocket. And so we sent up client new. With like the correct type and everything. And we know that we did anyway because the server's aware of it. We found the owner with the WebSocket. WebSocket isn't the owner. Just for fun, we close that. Actually, maybe I'll put an empty tab over here just so when font. That should be the socket who sent the messages. Close that, start it again. I know for sure it got sent out. And we know we sent the message twice. Flies. So we gotta get this guy. He almost fell into my coffee, which would have been very gross. So I'm gonna take one of my handy post-it notes and I'm going to kill this poor fly. Because one thing about flies is I wouldn't mind if when you open up your window or your door and try and shoo them out, they actually left. But they don't. They actually fight to stay in. So, what's up with that? Flies. It's to sent. I think if we do div, it'll actually start on changes. Okay, and then we're gonna go back over here. Initialize. Click. Refresh. Only want WebSocket. Definitely got a timer, or that we're not the owner. Up here, we discovered that we were the owner. And apparently it did send, so this didn't actually throw any exceptions. We're doing something where we're catching. Yeah, I got the impression that somehow we're catching that that message type, something different with it. But I mean, that's not the case. It looks like we are just parse out the message, and then we just find all the callbacks that are attached to that particular type. Well, I guess really to try it, we invoking message type. Right, so do that. In yeah, so it's just not getting the message at all, which is not great. Now, I guess we could theoretically set up this before open, but I don't think we would actually receive anything from it, but you know, I could be wrong. Owner, Okay. I wonder if it doesn't send anything. No, there shouldn't be any conditions whether or not we send client new. Do broadcast join. So descriptions, we just say when the socket opens, we set the WebSocket, and then immediately after, we send a broad. Yeah, I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't send that. I mean, the client obviously sends it, but any reason why like something wouldn't actually accept it? Here we got like the client new. Are we somehow messing around with who our owner is temporarily? I mean, technically, if we get that timer owner message, then that would also work. It's just not quite correct. So we'll have two of these. First one is going to be timer ownership, and this is going to be basically we need two of them to happen. Oh, maximum call stack. What? Move message listener. So if type is an array, keep going, but we know it's not an array. And if we don't have a callbacks for false. Just for fun, a string shouldn't be like an array. So indeed, it's false. So somehow we're getting into this, which seems wrong. Yeah, let's removing handler type. That's not what I want. Ugh. It's Do this again. What a quiet mob stream today. That's okay. I guess we're allowed to have quiet mobs. Quiet anythings. You know what? Words are hard. Cool. So somehow this is getting into some sort of like crazy loop. So it knows it's string and knows it's false. So let's just say removing from tuple. Okay, so we know it's not recursively calling itself. Something that would be calling one of these things times. One of these must be called a bunch of times. That's the only thing that makes. Handle. Then I give this object, which it's not. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, let's clear this out for now. Obviously, something strange is going on. At some point, let's wait for message type handle. Just stops being able to report JSON objects, which is strange. Handler, and this remove should just like move it. My misunderstanding how I move. Here we're saying like find the index in the callbacks and move it, so we could say like so we're gonna just say move message listener type callback, and then we're gonna say make index, and then callbacks. Access index before initialization. Yeah, that makes sense. Man, wouldn't it be so much easier if I just wrote tests for this instead of trying it endlessly? So, something about this is like re-triggering. Scroll up. So waiting for message type handle never actually calls cancel. Did let handler. And did it this way. Possible this is getting overwritten. Doesn't look like. Something about calling remove is somehow like triggering the callback. And that doesn't make a lot of sense. Son of a. So we want to know. Sometimes. By the time we get to this point, we actually only need for one as well. So that's cool. And let's get over here and let's get rid of all this extra debug silliness. Saw that we were on there. Now we can get it to populate this. Not enough coffee in life. I'm a little squirmy today. I'm a little sore. That's part of life, I guess. Cool. So now that we have that, I want to know. It's available. Then we need to send out a series of messages. I think that'll. So should, well. I don't know. So what R is? If I did something like. So, wasn't sure if that not it does. Say something like mob is going to be args.mob or we. We also need to do cat, because if we just get a single argument in, it's going to be a string. For map name, and then we need to name and an ID. The ID is going to be like math random string 36 slice 2. Cool. Then we could do something like this is the update. And do that just in case send exception, and down here this can become a turn this mob update hash.mob, and else? We want to say something like, if we have things in the mob, then set it. So if mob length is 0, then we want to timer mob update. Again, I should see Alex and Charlie as mob members. Oh, because I need to also distribute. But I'm not getting the that I need to distribute. Well, I'm actually getting too sore. I'm gonna bail. I'm sorry. So, I have no idea if anyone joined. If you did, I hope you enjoyed watching me code and occasionally think out loud. My typical things is, if you want to see more stuff that I do, you can find me in those places. If you like what I do and you want to support me financially, you can scan one of those 2 codes and hit me up on Patreon or GitHub. And oh, there we go. That's all I got. So I hope you have a lovely day. And you enjoyed watching a little bit of that Mob Time STK. Bye.